Welcome back. As you can see, we have the amazing Katie DePaola here with us for our
Hi.
final talk of the day. Our headliner, CEO of Inner Glow Circle, Katie DePaola herself, just going to let us know how to get rich being ourselves, which
Let's get rich.
do it. All right, Katie,
How's my sound?
I can hear you just fine. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Great. I'll hand it over to you. Take it away.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, great. What if I told you that you could get rich just by being yourself? That it was possible to make hundreds, thousands, even millions of dollars with your knowledge, your heart, your life experiences, your intuition, even your laugh and your smile? What if I told you that the key to making as much money as you want was just being you? So you've met 11 other women today that are proof that this is real. Now I want to tell you my story. I'm Katie DePaula, and I've built my entire career by getting paid to be myself. I'm a successful entrepreneur. I've built 3 companies. I founded Inner Glow Circle, and I took it from $0, completely self-funded, to a 7-figure business, to $1 million business. And I've coached thousands of women, and we've graduated over 600 students now. I also am a #1 best-selling author. I published my first book at the end of last year, At Least You Look Good, Learning to Glow Through What You Go Through. And we became bestseller in 5 categories. I've been featured in Time, Entrepreneur, Forbes, and asked to be on over 50 podcasts. I also recovered from the loss of my youngest brother and beat Lyme disease after 30 doctors said I never would. So I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to help women glow through what they go through by telling their stories and building profitable personal brands along the way. That's why we're here. But it didn't start like this. 10 years ago, my career aspirations were quite simple. All I wanted was to be able to leave work, go midday shopping, and not get caught. And because I literally can't sit at a desk all day, I would leave work and I would go shopping, and I'd stretch my break way past lunch. Inevitably, I would walk back into the office with a glare from my boss, late for a meeting, and wondering where in the world am I going to hide this bag with the top that I just bought in it. I was really not happy. And when I say I was really not happy, I mean I was really, really unhappy. And I started to wonder if it was possible to live a different life, a life on my terms, a life where I got to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. So I want to ask you this. Have you ever felt like your life didn't match who you were? Maybe you feel like that now. Have you ever wondered how it would feel to live completely on your own terms? That's where I was. So let's fast forward for a minute. The other day, I wanted to go shopping in the middle of the workday. So I did. And I wanted to work out too. So I actually made my shopping trip a workout. I walked 2 miles over a bridge in 80-degree weather to shop. But that wasn't all I did. On the way, I made some calls. I jotted down some ideas in my phone notes, and I thought about things a little bit. I thought about life and I thought about business. It turns out thinking is actually working. And I did. I bought a top and a dress, very cute. I sat on a bench and had a smoothie, and I actually called Inner Glow Circle COO, Liv Chapman, who you heard speak earlier. We made $50,000 in sales from our ideas on Friday to pay our team to reach more people. And I'm not sharing this to brag, although I completely think it's okay for women to brag. I share because you're allowed to have a business, make money, and make an impact just by being yourself. You see, when you get rich by being yourself, Money comes in every direction. Gifts, investments start to pay you back. You start to get clients, referrals, opportunities show up. Money shows up when you show up. That's how this works. And if I could tell the 22-year-old me that was essentially skipping work to go shopping one thing, it would be this: Katie, you don't have to change. You don't have to fit into a box. It's actually possible to make money by being who you already are. Your God given gifts, all your quirks, it all works. So I want to know if you connect to this, so raise your hand. But I always thought I was too much self, too loud, too wild, too free, too perfectionist, too silly, too talkative, too lots of things. I had too many ideas and too much to say. And my desk jobs weren't huge fans of all that Katiness. But I'm the boss of me now. Now, Katiness makes me money. It provides for me. And it allows me the freedom to travel, work, live, love over and over again, which means all the midday shopping and workouts that I want. So I want you to say it with me. Say your name. We can't hear you. So say your name. Say, meanness makes me money. Katiness makes me money. Meanness makes me money. I want you to write it down. After jumping around with a few jobs after college, I decided there had to be another way. So in 2013, 8 years ago, I made a bold decision to get certified as a life coach. I didn't know if people would pay me. In fact, I thought that they probably wouldn't. I didn't know if I would get clients, but I wanted to see if it was possible. I wanted to see if it was possible for me. I was 25 years old at the time. And surprisingly, I did well. I built a 6-figure business in 2 years, and I was getting paid to be me. It was easier than I thought. And I was blown away that people were paying me to talk to them on the phone or on Zoom. This was wild to me, a total miracle. Then I started a program for life coaches and turned that into a 7-figure business. Then, when I got diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease in 2014, after a decade of being sick and not being able to get any answers, getting paid to be myself took on a whole new meaning. I was able to get paid while working from the bed, the couch, or even the bathtub, like I joke about in my book. But it's not a joke. It was exactly what my life really looked like. I started to tell parts of my story online, and clients hired me to help them with their challenges. People who had chronic illness came to me, sharing their stories and saying that they wanted to hire me to help them. I was getting paid to be me. And this time, I was getting paid to even share the parts of my life that seemed embarrassing or vulnerable. My story was making me money, and not just the good parts of my story, my whole story was making me money. This was mind blowing to me. I grew up in a family that was very much about keeping up appearances and looking good. That's why my book is called At Least You Look Good. But I had to roll with what life was sending my way and trust this reciprocal relationship that I was starting to experience. And then, when the biggest tragedy of my life struck and I lost my youngest brother to an accidental overdose in 2015, I started to tell that story too. I wrote my book, and now I'm asked to be on panels, to speak at hospitals, to talk to donor committees, to raise awareness for mental health so that we can all be better about taking care of our mental health. Earlier this week, I was filming for a mental health fundraiser that will reach millions of people. All they wanted me to do was tell my story. Everybody has a story. You have a story. And we're all here because we have something to give back, something incredible to contribute to the world. People who want to glow through what they go through come to Inner Glow Circle every single day. They watch our videos, they read our emails, they connect with us on social media, they purchase our courses, and they become certified coaches with us. They follow us because we're being ourselves. For me, becoming a coach saved my life and it made my career. It opened the doors to becoming a #1 bestseller, building a 7-figure business, training hundreds of coaches, and building a great team. So now it's your turn. How can you become the boss of you? How can you get paid to be yourself? I'm going to take you through a 3-step process to get crystal clear on this. Your smile, your voice, your looks, your skills, your education, your perspectives, they're exactly right for your client. That's how this works. Going shopping or working out in the middle of the day are respectable goals. And for me, that's how simple it was. But what they really represent is something so much deeper, so much bigger: freedom, and beyond that, possibility. I wanted to know if it was possible to make money and not be tied to a desk. What I've learned is this: the more yourself you become, the wealthier you become. Wealthy in money, wealthy in love, wealthy in satisfaction, joy, purpose. If you want to get paid to be yourself, the first step is this. Number 1, you have to understand who you are. So I want you to journal on this. Who are you? Who are you? What do you love? What's important to you? What makes you happy and what annoys you? Write down all of your gifts. Write down all of your skills: writing, speaking, organization, making people laugh, bringing people together. What is it? Then write down all of your assets. What do you have? Do you have time? Do you have money? Do you have energy? Do you have love? What do you have to give? Is it a fresh perspective? What do you bring to the table? And what do you have to offer others that will benefit them? Number 2, why do you need to be rich? Here's the thing about money. Money needs a plan. Money needs a plan. What's the bigger purpose of the money? What initiatives will you start? Who will you help? Who does it serve when you are well resourced? How will you give back to the world and say thank you for the abundance that life has brought your way? This is what I believe. I believe that money belongs in the hands of women who know what to do with it. And money isn't just about cash, it's about legacy, resources, possibility, and the ability to make an impact. Step number 3, learn how to get paid. Ask yourself this question: if you could get paid to do anything, what would it be? We want to dream big, think big here. Getting paid to be yourself means doing what you already love. The only difference is you're getting paid for it. So go back to who you are. What are all the ways that who you are could make you money? And make this your mission. Start researching how to get paid for the work you love to do. Maybe you take a class, maybe you hire a coach, maybe you go through a course or get certified as a next step. If there are any skills that you feel like you need or that you want to have, make a plan to get them. Learn how to turn what you love into your career. This isn't an overnight thing, but it is 100% possible. And learn how to turn what you love into a career that pays you well. You can get paid to be yourself. For me, it changed my life, my business, my bank account, all of it, all of it. Okay. If you're comfortable, I want you to close your eyes just for a moment. I want you to envision a life where you can get paid to be yourself. Your needs are provided for, your family is taken care of, and all you have to do is show up and be you. How does it feel? What are your days like? How are you spending your time? What do you see? And when you're ready, open your eyes. And I want you to write down one simple action you can take to start to bring this new life into reality. There's always a new level, a next level. So keep dreaming big. You really can get paid to be yourself. Thank you so much.
Amazing. I love hearing your story every time I hear it, Katie. I'll never hear it enough.
Oh,
I'll hear it every time. Amazing. Thank you. Let's jump into Q&A. So any of you listening in, put your questions in the chat, or on Facebook, put your questions in there. If you're watching live on Zoom, you can also raise your hand and I can unmute you and you can ask Katie what you've got to ask verbally too. So let's get the questions in this space. While we're waiting for those to come up, Katie, I do have a question to get the ball rolling here. I'm curious for you, like, how your vision of what like success, what this like richness, wealth, like how has your relationship with that concept changed over time?
mm, juicy question. I mean, some of it I spoke to in my talk, which is like at first, it was when I was younger, it was just about freedom, like freedom of time. And like, can I make enough money to pay for my apartment in New York City and like go out with my friends and go shopping on my lunch breaks, like that was what it was. And I wanted to have more depth in my life, but I didn't really understand what that would look like. And then as I grew as a coach and as my life changed and handed me all these big challenges, it it became about more depth and more possibility, really just in every area. I mean, to me, wealth and being rich and feeling rich is certainly about health. I mean, if you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, and I've had that before where I was bedridden and you feel so trapped. And so that has been like a huge thing for me, is seeing what's possible there. But I think that wealth and being rich to me are really just about possibility in any and every area of our lives.
Love it. We have a question here from Kendall in the chat. What do you love about your coaching programs?
About IGC's coaching programs, I love everything. I mean, I love that they were, babies that I birthed into the world with so much support and partnership, very much including yours, Kelly. But I think that, to be specific about IGC, what I love most is our focus on teaching our students how to get a return on their investment. I mean, this is what we do in the very beginning of coach training. Before class even starts, we sit together and map out, where do you want to be in 6 months, right? And what do you want to create in every area of your life? And we have to ask, we have to prompt people like, well, what do you want to create financially? Okay, you want to create that much in income. What about in savings, right? And so really asking people to look at all these different areas of their lives and then saying, what about your relationships? Oh, well, I'm married, I'm good. Okay, well, is there another level of depth, of richness in the relationship? And I think often we live lives, and I was certainly like this at one point, that are sort of robotic, and we just don't realize that we can think outside of the box or the cubicle or the desk or whatever. And yeah, for me, I think understanding return on investment is not just about money. It's about what return do you want to get? And my goal is to get all of our students and everybody that I come in contact with thinking like this. Anytime I invest anything, what do I want to get out of it? Like, what is the reciprocal relationship I want to be having with life?
With life in general. Yeah, with life.
With
Totally.
life. Nothing big, just life.
Just life.
Just life.
Awesome. Let me look at my questions here. So Oh, here's another one that popped up. Great. You mentioned sharing your stories of illness and growth through grief. Can you tell us how being a coach helped heal you simultaneously?
Totally. Great question, Danielle. I think that um, being a coach, I'm so grateful that I was already trained as a coach when shit hit the fan in my life. I honestly think that's like a direct sentence from my book, which is right here, by the way. Hi, guys. But I'm so glad that I had that baseline training, because to me, what coaching teaches you is so much about resilience and how to work with what life gives you, you know? And even like as a coach, I'm a tennis player, not like a pro tennis player, but as a hobby tennis player, a high school tennis player that's still playing. And so, when you're playing tennis, for those of you who either do this or can envision it, you're receiving the ball and you're hitting it back, and you're receiving the ball and you're hitting it back, right? And you're responding. Coaching is the same thing. You're receiving a request or a complaint or whatever, wherever your client is in that moment, whether they're complaining about their life or their partner or just sharing, or they have a request, you're receiving something and then you're responding back. And so life is really no different than coaching, in that you receive something and you respond, and then everything keeps communicating. And so I had this foundation of understanding resilience and understanding that I could bounce back. I could bounce back from a conversation. I could bounce back from a situation. And I also was taught in coach training, and we teach this in coach training, to ask the question, what's actually possible? What's actually possible? And so what happened, I talk about this so much in my book, so I don't want to spoil it, but what happened was 30 doctors told me that I would never get better, that I would never get rid of my Lyme disease, that I could only ever go into remission, I would never get rid of it. And I kept having this thought. This thought was, what if they're wrong? What if they're wrong? What if there's one doctor or one way or one opportunity? What if there's one? If there's one, then it's possible for me to find it, right? And I think that, um, with my brother, it was similar. So many people told me that I would never heal, that it would always hurt so badly, that I would never be able, like, that I would always be in pain. And I remember saying, like, dude, like, thinking to myself, like, bro, I love you. And I don't even think you want me to be in pain for the rest of my life. Like, I realized that we take on grief because we think it honors the dead. This is my perspective, and that, like, Bo's good and he wants me to be good. And so I had to really make sense of this and make peace of it. And so the possibility there was, is it possible? Could it be possible to make peace with Bo's death and not only celebrate that he lived, but also get to a point where I could celebrate his death, and that his death and everything that came from it, us starting a foundation, me talking about mental health, me sharing my story, me getting mentally healthier, and keeping myself in check, would actually be worth it. And worth it is such a weird way to say it, but that it could make all of this sort of make more sense in the brain, because grief really messes with your head and it doesn't make sense. And so I needed to make it make sense. And so I sort of started to write my own story there.
Love it. Yes. Let me check Facebook, see if there's any questions there. Final question for you then, if there's none other in the audience. If there is, please put it up. Now is your time. What do you really want everyone listening here to take away from your experience and your talk?
I just really want you to ask yourself what's possible. Like, I'm the biggest whiner. Kelly knows this because she has to work with me. I'm like, I get frustrated. I'm like, I can get moody, right? Like, I'm a human. I'm a very humany human. Kelly's like, you're not that bad, but
Oh.
but I can get in my stuff, right? So you can't say like, oh, well, Katie, you're really positive. Oh, Katie, you're this, because look, I think I can probably beat you on like the side of, resistance. I'm like the hardest person to coach. Like my boyfriend, poor thing, he's like, you're really uncoachable. I'm like, yeah, okay. I know I'm uncoachable. So, anyways, my point is, when you've got those parts of yourself that come up that are super uncoachable, that really attach to the resistance, that have all the reasons why you can't, or why you'll never succeed, or why you're the exception to the rule, I
Mm,
just want you to ask yourself what's actually possible. Like, I have to say that to myself, I swear to you, multiple times a day, every single day. What's actually possible? What's actually possible? What's actually possible? If there's like a tech glitch, like we had a tech glitch earlier, right? Like, I'm like, okay, well, what's actually possible? Maybe something fun will happen, or maybe, and so really asking yourself, instead of getting frustrated by the ways that life kind of glitches in the matrix, asking yourself what's actually possible and then playing from possibility.
mhm, mhm. Amen. I'll take that.
Amen.
Put it in my pocket and save it for later. Love it. So amazing. So thank you, Katie, for sharing your story as always and letting us in on what's possible with whatever is in our spaces. Um, cool. If you want to reach out to Katie, Katie's contact information is also in the workbook, so you can connect with her. That would be page 15, I believe. I tried to write them all down. 16, lucky number 16 in the workbook. So you can connect with Katie there along with her journal prompts.